There's a reason why Apple isn't just another tech company. It's a philosophy, a religion, a mindset that transformed the way we see technology, beauty, and even ourselves. But how did a small garage startup, run by a rebellious college dropout and his friend, become the world's most valuable company? This is not a story about computers. It's a story about vision, failure, obsession, and the relentless pursuit of perfection. This is the story of Apple and the man who changed everything, Steve Jobs. In the mid-1970s, computers were massive, gray machines locked in research labs. Only governments, universities, and big corporations could afford them. But one man saw something different, Steve Jobs. He believed computers could be personal, not industrial. He believed design and simplicity were not luxuries, they were necessities. Jobs wasn't a programmer, he wasn't an engineer. He was a visionary, someone who could see the invisible connections between technology and human emotion. In 1976, Jobs and Steve Wozniak built the first Apple computer in Jobs' parents' garage. It wasn't just a product, it was a statement. They wanted to bring computing to the masses, not just the elite. The early Apple II became one of the first successful personal computers. It changed the game. But even then, Jobs wasn't satisfied. He didn't just want people to use technology, he wanted them to love it. Jobs had one rule: think different. He believed technology alone wasn't enough. It had to connect with the arts, with humanity, with emotion. This idea became the DNA of Apple. Every product, every campaign, every presentation was designed to tell a story of creativity, courage, and defiance. In 1984, Apple released the Macintosh. It was revolutionary, a computer that was friendly, graphical, and personal. It changed the industry forever. But the same perfectionism that made Jobs brilliant also made him difficult. He demanded the impossible. He pushed teams beyond their limits. He fired, shouted, and rebuilt, all in the pursuit of something greater. In 1985, Apple's board had enough. Jobs was forced out of his own company. It was one of the darkest moments of his life. But it was also the turning point that would define him. After leaving Apple, Jobs didn't disappear. He started a new company, NeXT, to build the next generation of computers. They were beautiful, powerful, but too expensive. Commercially, NeXT failed. But the software they developed would one day power Apple's rebirth. During this time, Jobs also bought a small animation studio from George Lucas. That studio became Pixar. Pixar changed the world of animation, with Toy Story, the first fully computer-animated film. Jobs had done it again. He combined art and technology to create something magical. But deep inside, he still wanted Apple back. And fate had a plan. By 1996, Apple was dying. It had lost its direction, its soul, its identity. So Apple did something unexpected. It bought NeXT. And with that deal, Steve Jobs returned home. When Jobs came back, he didn't just fix Apple, he reinvented it. He simplified everything: the product line, the brand, the mission. He asked one question: what do we stand for? Jobs killed dozens of projects, cut costs, and focused on design, innovation, and clarity. He redefined Apple's culture, making it lean, creative, and obsessed with excellence. Then came the iMac. It wasn't just a computer, it was an expression of color, personality, and fun. It made technology feel human again. And that was just the beginning. Between 2001 and 2011, Apple changed everything again. First, the iPod. It wasn't the first MP3 player, but it was the first one people loved. The white earphones became a cultural symbol. Apple wasn't selling hardware anymore, it was selling identity. Then came iTunes. It changed how we bought and consumed music. It saved the music industry and made Apple billions. In 2007, Apple unveiled the iPhone, a device that combined a phone, an iPod, and an internet communicator into one. But more importantly, it changed the way we live, work, and connect. Jobs didn't just create a product, he created an ecosystem. Hardware, software, and services, all working seamlessly together. That integration became Apple's ultimate advantage. Then came the App Store. Suddenly, developers around the world could build on Apple's platform. It created an entire economy, billions of dollars, millions of jobs. In 2010, Apple launched the iPad. Critics laughed. "Who needs a bigger iPhone?" they said. But once again, Jobs proved them wrong. The iPad became the fastest-selling consumer device in history. In 2011, Steve Jobs passed away. But he left behind something no company had ever achieved: a culture of innovation rooted in simplicity, design, and emotional connection. Jobs once said, "Technology alone is not enough. It's technology married with the humanities that yields us the results that make our hearts sing." Apple became a trillion-dollar company not by following trends, but by creating them. It learned to say no more often than yes. It built products that people didn't know they needed until they couldn't live without them. Under Tim Cook, Apple continued to evolve. It became more efficient, more sustainable, more global. But the spirit of Jobs still defines everything Apple does, from the curve of an icon to the silence between two sounds in a notification. Every Apple launch, every product video, every ad still whispers his philosophy. Think different. Apple's story isn't just creative, it's strategic. Its business model is a masterpiece of vertical integration and ecosystem control. While most companies compete on price, Apple competes on experience. It builds its own chips, its own software, its own stores. It controls the narrative, the design, and the customer journey, from the moment you see an ad to the moment you unbox the product. Apple's profit margins are among the highest in the world. It doesn't chase volume, it chases loyalty. It turns customers into fans, and fans into evangelists. Its pricing strategy is psychological. You're not buying a phone, you're buying status. You're not paying for parts, you're paying for emotion. And that's why Apple can charge $1,000 for an iPhone and still sell millions. So what can we learn from Apple? 1. Focus is power. Jobs said, "Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things." Apple succeeds because it concentrates on fewer products, but makes them perfect. 2. Design is strategy. Every curve, color, and sound at Apple serves a purpose. Design isn't decoration, it's communication. 3. Build ecosystems, not products. Apple doesn't sell devices. It sells a lifestyle that keeps users locked in emotionally and technically. 4. Create emotion through simplicity. Simplicity isn't minimalism, it's clarity. Apple removes the unnecessary to make room for the essential. 5. Never stop reinventing. From the Mac to the iPhone to the Apple Watch, Apple constantly disrupts itself before others can. Steve Jobs once said, "The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." Apple's story is not about gadgets. It's about belief that with vision, courage, and creativity, a small group of people can shape the future. And that's what makes Apple more than a company. It's an idea that continues to inspire millions. To think different, to dream bigger, and to never settle